Hi, it's Molly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel as we are making our way through this series of exploring the energies on your descendant. And now we're going to take a look at the Libra Descendant energies, which is what would be in your chart if you have Aries Rising. So, of course, this is not your chart. This is a different chart, and this will be a tutorial where I go through reading the energetics, and I hope that helps you then take this information and apply it to your own chart. So, the descendant is always the opposite point of the rising sign or ascendant, which was the astrological sign rising on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. The descendant is also where the energies are meant to be bringing you more into yourself, understanding more about who you are, what you need, what you're seeking, but it's often through other people. And so the descendant can also be a point of mirroring and projection. It can be where you see something in another person that you're meant to also recognize in yourself. Now, with Libra on the descendant, this is the energy of sharing, cooperating, interactions, being fair, being just. And the Libra energy is actually well suited on the descendant since it is the traditional ruler of the seventh house. So the Libra descendant is where you are learning and experiencing relationships that are fair, that are equal, where each person shows up understanding their value and who they are, and then can bring that forward into the connection or interaction. Now, Libra is also about negotiations and what you understand you have to compromise with others. Now, it's also about maintaining a sense of self, which is the Aries energy, where you understand who you are and you can bring that into the shared space, but with room for another person's energy, which will be different. So there is a need here for the energy to be more open and allowing for what you're sharing, co-creating, or experiencing with people in your life. So because Libra is ruled by Venus, you would then look at your natal Venus in your chart. In this chart, it's up here at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And that natal Venus will give you more of the energy trail to understand how these Libra qualities and themes may be showing up for you. So when you go to your natal Venus, there's more to understand about how you do relationships based on what you need and what you're attracted to. Now, this Venus at 27 Capricorn in the 10th house is actually a Venus that prefers to be in charge. There can be a lot of responsibility that this person feels. They might feel that they're responsible more for the connection or that they're the one who has more experience. The Capricorn energy is going to deeply impact then how relationships are conducted, and also because the Venus is in the 10th house. So go to your chart and look at which astrological sign your Venus is in, and then look at the house placement, as these layers of energy are going to help you get more of a clear understanding of who you pull in and why, what you are learning in relationships, what you are coming to understand about the patterns and the unconscious patterns even that could show up for you regardless of the sign on your descendant. Now, what if you have a retrograde Venus? And this is important to think about for any personal planet that's retrograde. Personal planets being Mercury, Venus, Mars. If one of these planets is retrograde in your chart, and this is about a general theme, okay? Not only related to the descendant, but if you have a retrograde personal planet, there's more that you are learning in this lifetime that you can be reviewing, redoing. It's like you are working through some layers of karma with that planet. And there is a need to go slower to be more conscious. Now, Venus is not retrograde in this chart. She's not retrograde in this chart. I just wanted to add in that understanding. Because if she was retrograde, let's just pretend that she's retrograde, which means there would be an R there. That's a horrible R, Molly. I know, it's horrible. Here, it would look like this. So this Jupiter is retrograde. Saturn is retrograde. Pluto is retrograde. Uranus is retrograde. So it would have an RX, okay? And if there is a personal planet that's in retrograde, there's more you're reviewing, but there's also more energy required with a retrograde personal planet. So this is where something can feel like more work. It's a bigger theme in this lifetime. You're redoing it, you're reviewing it, you're making new choices in this lifetime from a previous lifetime. So that retrograde personal planet requires more attention, consciousness, and really understanding what you're choosing, because it could feel like there's things that are on repeat in your world or in your life in regards to that retrograde energy. So again, with the Libra Descendant, your natal Venus gains importance. And as I've discussed in previous videos, you then look at the aspects to that natal Venus. And in this chart, it's an opposition from Jupiter at 29 degrees of Cancer, retrograde in the 5th house. So see how this Jupiter is actually in the 5th house, opposing Venus in the 10th house. And so you would notice that, well, typically an opposition is between opposing houses, right? Like the 10th and the 4th. But with this Jupiter in the 5th house, it brings alive more around family, children. And so this can very well be a push-pull between wanting to be involved in family, needing that, loving that, being a family individual, family focused, especially on kids, which are the 5th house, but then also having these responsibilities at work, needing to run the show, be in charge. And so there's a push-pull here with this Venus that would affect what the descendant energy pulls in and experiences. And that is actually the biggest aspect to Venus, is this opposition to Jupiter. And so that's where relationships could be a place where not only are you learning balance between giving and receiving, which is a Libra theme, but then there's balance required here between home, family, work, career, even looking at the emotional vulnerabilities that can come up with the Jupiter in Cancer, and then how that opposes that Venus in Capricorn, which will take things on, lead, again, maintain a sense of control around what needs to be either accomplished, what's been committed to, etc. This Venus also takes commitment seriously in Capricorn in the 10th house. And so that seriousness, that maturity is part of the Libra Descendant. This could also be someone, they're drawn to somebody older, which is Capricorn. Somebody older, wiser, more experienced. Or they could be the older, wiser, more experienced person in connections. So again, you're looking for your natal Venus, aspects to it that help you understand more about what your Libra energy brings in. Now, the other thing I wanted to touch on is you can see here that Pluto is in Libra in the 7th house. And so this is a generational transit affecting millions, if not billions of people with Pluto in Libra, which means that there's powerful relationship growth in this lifetime that can make relationships more of a central theme of what you are learning about yourself and your needs. This particular Pluto, it's in the 7th house, as you can see. Your Pluto doesn't necessarily mean it's in the 7th house, but what I wanted to highlight is that the generation born with Pluto in Libra is transforming what relationships look like, what works, what is true in being in your power. And this means there can be a lot of changes in those dynamics, especially since this Pluto is in the 7th house. But notice how this Pluto in this chart opposes the moon in Aries in the 1st house, which is someone who's very focused on themselves, who puts themselves first, and they're learning about their Aries energy, the push-pull in relationships that brings up. So if you have an outer planet working with your 7th house energy, especially in the most outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, there's more significant energy in the 7th house in relationships. They have more that you're understanding at a soul level, more that you're growing through. Of course, it will depend on the planet and even if they're in a different sign. But this is just important to highlight for the Libra themes because of how Pluto doesn't things don't stay the same with Pluto. There's permanent, deep, definite changes. And for this individual, it is through the realms of relationships and connections where they're learning to be in their power and to not be selfish. They're learning to be more even open to the connections and to learn through where they have unconsciously given their power away, perhaps. So again, this goes into a more specialized focus of this chart, but planets in the outer planets in Libra are bringing in more powerful revelations, understandings, and even revealing more themes about how you've done relationships in other lifetimes. Now, this Libra Descendant is really good typically at those connections, and it could be something that people are drawn to you for. They're drawn to you for relational experiences. They're drawn to you to learn more about who they are and their needs. And so you could have perhaps many types of relationships across all areas of your life with a Libra Descendant, but it depends on how good, how healthy you are in those connections. And also if you have other planets in Libra or where your Venus is, and if that Venus gets along well with these Libra themes and intentions. I know I've known people who have very strong Aries, like Aries Rising, personal planets in Aries in the 1st house, and they're really bad at relationships. They don't do the Libra thing well. They're very selfish. They aren't aware of other people's needs or how they come across. So that is something to be aware of because that could be a blind spot with the Aries rising. Of course, that's very specific to Aries planets, but Aries is the opposite of Libra. So it's honoring who you are, knowing who you are, but knowing that other people are going to be different. They're going to have different needs, and they're going to ask you to detach from anything you're overly invested in yourself in order to show up and practice more of the Libra qualities. So again, with the Libra Descendant, you're looking at your natal Venus and the aspects to your natal Venus. And if you have any of the outer planets in Libra, that will definitely also be important for understanding what the Libra themes and intentions are for you in this lifetime. So I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about the energetics of your chart. And as I've mentioned in previous videos in this series, I'm highlighting something different in each video. So I hope this helps you put together more of the pieces and understand more of your own chart. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos.